Hello, and welcome to episode 78 of Expertise is Overrated, the podcast that takes the time to answer the questions you didn't know you didn't want the answers to. I'm Vib.
And I'm Sean, and neither of us has any clue what we're talking about.
But nevertheless, join us as we chase the white rabbit's red pill or something.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
Second time lucky.
you had just... Okay, wow, really? You're going to call out the fact that I fucked up the intro, huh?
No, I was going to... Not actually, I was going to say second time lucky and leave it at that and let everyone guess. But if you want to own up to your mistakes, then I
It's still not as bad
honesty.
as that line that you wrote for me. Join us as we chase the white rabbit's red pill. Why not just say, join us as we swallow the red pill or something like that?
Well, because I didn't want to say swallow the red pill because that has all sorts of horrible internet connotations.
Ah, you're just a coward. Just a dirty coward.
Yes.
But no, if it's not clear, we're talking about The Matrix, as we said. As it dawned on us last time we recorded.
That we've never spoken about The Matrix, which is odd, because we're both of an age where we absolutely should have spent a lot of time talking, and in fact did, I imagine, spend a lot of time talking about The Matrix when it first came out.
When it first came out, I'm not sure, because that was 1999?
Were we... Was it 9? Yeah, so maybe not quite.
Bit young, perhaps, at the time.
I don't know, I feel like...
Was it 9? I swear it was 1999.
It was like that, yeah.
Well, I went to Google and I typed in 1999. Yeah, that's just...
Nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then The Matrix was 2003, which is actually way sooner after than I'd thought at
So
first.
maybe... It's 99. Yeah, there's no way I watched The Matrix in cinema.
No, heavens no. I mean, my parents were somewhat relaxed, but not.
Yeah.
not
yeah,
those levels.
My parents were generally pretty okay with stuff, but like also it was harder to get into cinemas to watch films. There was none of this PG-13 nonsense.
No.
Like films were either PG or they were 12.
Yeah, I suspect The Matrix probably a 15, I would guess.
Either a 12 or a 15.
Probably too much blood for a 12, I reckon.
It must have been a 15.
I just think it's crazy that film is as old as Star Wars Episode 1.
One of those has aged better than the other.
One of those has aged much better than the other. So, I mean, I was watching The Matrix while I was waiting for you to log on.
Yeah.
I mean, it obviously has a very specific style, but like it really still works, Like it works very well.
It does, and there's a lot, I think, going on in why it works so well, because on the face of it, it's just a fun action film, right? If it had been made 10 years earlier, it could have been an Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
Ooh,
like,
that's a punchy opening.
It couldn't. Like, I don't actually think that that's true, but if you don't engage with it too deeply, it is just that sort of film, isn't it?
That's an interesting point. Like, what kind of film is it? I'm not convinced it is an action film. I mean, obviously it has lots of action sequences and they're all excellent. Is it an action film?
Is it an action film?
Is it a thriller? Is it sci-fi?
So the problem is...
Fantasy? It's probably not that.
It's not fantasy, I don't think. But the problem is that, like, it almost... This is going to sound very... not arrogant, that's not even the right word, I can't think tonight. It's almost auteurish. Like, in the same style as, like, an Edgar Wright film or a Guy Ritchie film. Like, it almost defies genre. It's just a film that is telling a very specific story, and it pulls on whichever genre conventions it needs from whatever genres it wants to tell that story. Because there's everything from, as you say, sci-fi, and there are actually some elements of fantasy, I suppose, all the way through to like almost Hong Kong
Yeah, it's got all of that. It probably is an action film.
Yeah. I think at its heart, it's a sci-fi action thriller.
Yeah, I've not quite made it to the lobby scene.
No, but that's exactly the one that I was thinking about for that sort of John Woo-esque film.
John Woo's not a bad example, actually. Yeah,
but there's like the Morpheus Neo fight, which is very Crouching Tiger.
Oh yeah, that's a great scene, and it obviously starts with Trinity, doing her.
There's the Trinity scene.
So yeah, actually, it's not unfair, but it's so much more than that, because I sort of never think about rewatching The Matrix on for an action film per se, even though I guess it is that, but
there's too much going on. I think
there is too much going on, right? I think that's it, and there's something about The Matrix that's so compelling. Because it's not a novel concept, right? This whole we live in a simulation thing that people have philosophized about that and thought about that and done that. But that has now become synonymous with saying we live in the Matrix, right? Like it's just done it so well. It's painted such a nice, convincing picture almost.
Yeah, it's the idea of the Matrix as the name for the simulation that you live in. It is just, I think, pretty well ingrained in the way that people speak.
Yeah.
No.
It really is,
which is really quite something, yeah.
It's done very well with that, and because it's just immensely compelling. Like the whole way through, it doesn't take very much for them to make the case that that's what's going on.
Or it's a very, very... In some ways, it's an incredibly easy case to make, because everything that... It's very easy to say to people, imagine if everything that you lived in was a computer-generated simulation. People just go, oh yeah, that'd be weird. Like, because we fundamentally don't understand a huge amount about sort of the nature and origins of reality, things like that are relatively easy to grok are quite compelling.
Yeah.
But then I think the way that it goes one step further to be like, we tried Utopia and Utopia didn't take. There's something almost fundamentally broken in the human psyche that looks for struggle and strife. So you had to introduce that into the simulation such that people wouldn't reject it. And things like that, I think, are... Like, it's saying an awful lot about what it means to be human.
Yeah. It really does.
And that's why I fear we're going to jump around an awful lot. But like that's sort of why things like Cypher's betrayal hit so hard, because in some ways he in choosing to go back in and sort of re-embracing the Matrix as... Was it his ignorance is bliss?
Yeah, as he's eating a very delicious steak.
As he's eating a very, very nice looking steak and absolutely chugging back red wine. Yeah, and that's an appealing narrative that he's presenting. But at the same time, I don't know about you, but it really sticks. It provokes something really visceral in me, because he's fundamentally denying his ability to make choices. He's turning off his ability to make informed choices.
Whoa, now, okay, we're getting straight into the big guns already, huh?
Well, no, but we don't necessarily need to engage with that argument right now. But like, that's an incredibly deep thing for what is on the surface an action sci-fi thriller film to engage with.
Oh, but that's what makes it so special, right? Because yeah, it's so compelling, it's so deep, and that's a great example, I think, as you say. Like, the Matrix, as told to us by Agent Smith, can only work by making it a bit shit. Like the real world has to be a little bit shit, or worse, for some reason, as you say, human brains just can't quite comprehend it. And yet, it's even worse, right? Because with the exception of Cypher, we kind of only see humans who are even more keen to struggle properly in the real world, which is even shitter, right, in terms of sort of standard of life, quality of life.
Yeah.
But they're there because it's like, no, this is what it means to be human.
Yeah,
That's what I was
exactly.
Like, Cypher is a real odd one out because he decides to go back into the Matrix. And, I mean, you know, he sets himself up to live a nice life, a rich life. But, yeah, there's something very profound in all of that speaks to the human psyche and human nature. I've never really been able to put my finger on what it is exactly.
I find Cypher's choice really, really difficult to comprehend because, well, as I say, it's almost like he gives up his agency. He makes one choice, one informed choice that then takes away his future ability to make any informed choices because he's closing his mind to knowledge.
See, but in the canon of the Matrix, I don't think that's true, that statement.
Right.
Because the Oracle always talks to Neo about choice and fate, right?
Yeah.
And her line is always, well, you've already made the choice, you just have to understand what it is, which I guess implies that there's something akin to fate, and we can come back to that. But it also strongly implies that choice isn't necessarily something we have, but we have the ability to understand why certain things were done in a certain way.
I find the Oracle so confusing. She's a really confusing element of an already confusing film.
Yes.
Together, like her and the Architect, the two of them,
the Architect's
come on
worse.
To the later films. The Architect is worse. But like, what? The whole, like, she's almost thematically problematic because in my head, the whole point of the Matrix is it's about people's ability to make choices for themselves. But then the Oracle waltzes in and goes, something, fate, something, you've already made the choice, you just need to understand it. And I find that, like, really bounces off how I understand the whole film.
Yeah, and the issue I've always had with it is that the Oracle is a program, right? It's a machine.
Yeah.
And so I just never understand does it just highlight a lack of understanding on the machine's part? Or are we wrong about this? Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I sort of like her logic, but I also don't know why. Because like choice, right? Setting aside the real deep stuff for later, I guess. But choice is one of these complicated things, right? I think you're never well, not never, but more often than not, you're not physically aware that you are making a choice. You only really realize in retrospect that you have made a choice. If that makes any sort of sense.
Fair. Yeah.
Even if we're thinking about big problems and you know, choosing, I think it's less about the act of doing it because it's quite fleeting. It's more about the sort of coming to terms with a choice you have made, right? And that's what we are very capable at. I don't really want to say good, but it's something we have the ability to do. And I think that is a lot of what she's speaking to.
I think that makes more sense than some idea of predetermination. I find that really, really difficult to square with the like overall message of the first film. It all gets so weird in the later films as well, even more so than just how it is in The Matrix. And I almost choose, if I watch the second and third film, to just not at all engage with the overarching weird messianic plot. Because
yeah, that's entirely fair. I mean, you watch the second one purely for the Merovingian.
You watch the second one for the Merovingian because he's excellent,
and the third is literally just bullets versus squiddies.
And you watch the third for the mech battle scene.
Pretty much, yeah.
And is it the third, the one where Neo fights like 10,000 Agent Smiths? and beats the shit
Yeah.
out of them with a metal pole.
No, that's the second one, right?
Is that
Where
the
we first
second
realized that
one?
Agent Smith has gone a little bit viral.
Yes.
In the third, there's like every human in the Matrix is Agent Smith, but for some reason he only fights one of them, which is another thing that I've never fully understood.
No.
Like if Agent Smith's idea is to beat Neo, then why would he fight 1-on-1, right? I mean, or was that his attempt to set everybody free? Or it gets very...
Agent Smith is such a good creation.
Agent Smith is a fantastic creation, and Hugo Weaving does it so well.
It is fantastic. It's so, so good.
So the idea of Hugo Weaving doing, martial arts against Keanu Reeves is somehow really amusing to me. I don't know why. I'm doing Hugo Weaving a massive disservice there, but like it's odd.
8 foot tall and 6 foot wide Hugo Weaving. The man's massive.
I think it's because I just see him as Elrond, which I know is shit, but I don't know.
I really struggle with Red Skull, actually. In the first Avenger, before he becomes properly Red Skull, when he's got the flesh face mask thingy on, so it's just Hugo Weaving's face. Because for some reason I see that much more as Elrond than I do Agent Smith. Because like Agent Smith to Red Skull, you can sort of see, but Elrond to Red Skull is just like, wait, what? I don't know, it really throws me.
Yeah, for me, I think Hugo Weaving plays Red Skull so well that I'm not that bothered by that, actually.
No,
I get what you're saying, yeah.
To be fair, he is also just an excellent Red Skull, so that's...
Yeah.
It's not a complaint.
He just looks so sinister, but I sort of get what you mean, yeah. But this is, again, Agent Smith, the Oracle, the Architect. I think, and I've watched The Matrix numerous times. And I'm still not convinced I understand any of it. I still don't know what Agent Smith wanted. I still don't really know what the Oracle wanted. I definitely don't have a fucking clue what the Architect wanted. Or what
Isn't
the Architect
that a failure of films 2 and 3? Film 1 is a complete film. I think.
Not to mention 4, which reopened. That's a bit more sort of Total Recall in my mind.
Yeah, I need to watch 4. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you've not seen 4?
No, I haven't.
Mate, what are we doing
It's
recording
really,
this
really
episode then? Jesus.
It's a Monday night. What else
Professional
are we
podcasting right here, everybody. Honestly. Go shout at Sean.
Yeah, come shout at me. By the time this airs, I might have actually watched 4 and made a liar of myself.
That would be quite funny. I mean, there's also no chance of that being true. But yes, 1...
No, there's zero chance of this being true.
1 is a complete film, and I still, to this day, don't necessarily know if they actually planned on doing 2 and 3 when they made 1. Because 2 and 3 came out much closer together, right, than 1 and 2 did.
And there's a lot between 1 and 2. 5 years between 1 and 2 is a long time. So it was 5 years, 4 years?
4 years, I think. 1999, 2003, I want to say.
I think that's what you said. Like that's quite a long time between installments, especially as you say, when 2 to 3 was then like a year.
They were in the same year, actually.
That's
Matrix
insane.
Reloaded 2003, Matrix Revolutions 2003. Huh. Crazy.
They must have shot those 2 back to back.
Yeah. Explains a lot.
Yeah, but so one is a complete film. You've got Neo going from closed mind hacker in his basement to probably the savior of humanity, but you don't see him doing anything than making the choice to be the person that Morpheus and the Oracle have been telling him he is.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, I don't know, to be fair, the Oracle tells him he isn't the one.
Exactly, but she does also sort of say, maybe in another life, like you're waiting for something. Which is obviously...
Maybe next time is her line, isn't it?
Yeah. But she also says, yeah, in a next life, right? You wait.
Yeah.
She tells him you're waiting for something, and like sometimes that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And yeah, Morpheus just tells him to keep being who he is, and I've never really understood if that was the Oracle kind of pushing him towards it, because she tells him about Morpheus sacrificing himself, and that Neo has to make a choice, bizarrely. So she's introducing that concept of choice very early on.
Yeah.
Again.
My read of that is the point about being the one is the most important thing is that you believe you are the one. So it's no good the Oracle telling you that you're the one. You have to be put in a position where the only way to succeed is to try and be the one. Like,
I don't hate
not even try and be the one. That's not right. But it's like it's this whole if you tell someone the future, you poison the future idea of fortune or of future sight. So the Oracle breaks things if she says to Neo in that first meeting, yes, actually, you are the one. It's much more important that Neo come into that on his own.
Well, no, because she dangles that, right? She dangles that exact carrot. First thing she says to him is, don't worry about the vase. Then he breaks the vase.
Yeah.
And she's like, what's really going to bother you later is, would you have done it if I hadn't said anything?
Yeah.
Right, which is exactly that. So I wonder, because by saying that, she could then also follow up by saying, you're the one, you're not the one. She does give him an answer, right? So is she...
But does she give him the true answer, or
does she give him the framework in which to be his self by just saying? Because being the one, I think, is a pressured situation, right? By saying you're just a random guy, go live your life to the best of your ability.
Yeah,
throwing that off maybe makes him the one.
I that's always sort of been my read.
Except he still has to die. As far as we understand.
He does technically die. But he dodges bullets before he dies. Which is sort of held up as...
Even in his first fight against Morpheus, he moves unbelievably fast.
Yeah, but he doesn't... No, he does, and he takes in stuff faster than anyone else and all of that. So he's clearly special. But there's a difference between like being talented and being the figure that Morpheus wants him to be, I think. But then it's sort of this all kind of gets blown out of the water by the end of the third film, where he's like able to do matrix magic in the real world and stuff like that, which is just completely baffling.
He does that at the end of the second one, doesn't he?
Is it at the end of the second?
Yeah,
he breaks the Sentinel, doesn't he?
He appears at the end of the second, and he's like blind at the beginning of the third, blind and unconscious.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've just confirmed that purely because of the first film's success, they made 2 other films from the sound of it.
Yeah, I do think that shows. Although there are some, as we said, there are some absolutely great scenes in the second and third films. The speech that Morpheus gives in Zion is absolutely brilliant.
So great, and the crazy dance party. It's just such odd cinema, but it still works. And I by no means hate the second and third. I think people often go a bit too far. Yeah, they're a bit more gimmicky and a bit more mundane, but I think that's only contrasted because the first film is just exceptional.
I think that's absolutely right. I think if the first film hadn't been, I mean, you've put it here, almost cinema-defining piece of, genre-defining piece of cinema, you'd look at 2 and 3 and go...
Even though we can't quite figure out what the genre is, but...
Oh, it's almost a media-defining piece of cinema.
Yeah, I think that's right, yeah.
Like if one were just as good as 2 and 3, you'd look at the three of them and go, yeah, that's a solid action trilogy. You know, people would talk about it in the same language as something like Die Hard or Rambo or something like that, and we'd all be pretty happy.
Yeah.
And move on with our lives. But I think what's really surprising in some ways is a film that was made in 1999 still seems to carry so much emotional resonance today.
Yeah. I mean, that could just be because it is of our time.
True, and we need to, if I could stand to be in the same room as one of them, we could ask a Zoomer or a whatever if they've heard of The Matrix and then not understand their response.
But even I don't actually know what a Zoomer is, but even a Boomer, right? I think because we watched The Matrix when it was the right time for us, you know, peak rebellious, asking lots of questions years.
Yeah, in some ways, in some very confusing ways, it's another coming of age. Not for, well, it sort of is a coming of age film in a very loose sense.
It's just when you watch it at that time where you think that you're the world's greatest philosopher and you watch The Matrix and you're like, absolutely fucking right. We live in a simulation.
I knew it, dude.
Exactly. It's exactly that, right? Especially when they then cast Keanu Reeves, who we would have just seen play in Bill and Ted's...
Bill and or Ted.
yeah, I was going to say, I don't actually remember who's who in that. But it just works on so many levels.
It's such... Keanu Reeves for Neo is such a rogue casting, given Keanu Reeves' back catalogue before The Matrix. Like, that's inspired by whoever did that.
It really is. It really, really is.
And he's just turned out to be excellent in everything.
I mean, it's odd having like rewatching it now. Like peak heresy. I'm going to get shouted at, but he almost overacts in many parts, but it somehow works. So I'm going to call acting genius. But there's so many things where he like exaggerates his movements and he's like super shocked about everything. And it's like,
yeah, I have this image in my head. I don't know if it's even actually in the film, but he does like a quintuple take at something.
Yeah.
And like his arms flap around his head, but for some reason it works.
When he first loads into a program. But I always wondered, like, I almost wonder, is that him trying to portray that his mind is now getting used to the thing and it's all kind of not quite right? I don't know. Maybe I'm massively overthinking it because I'm a huge Keanu Reeves fan, but...
I mean, it's almost certainly arguable that the portrayal there is of someone who is... Well, what is it? Neo is too old to be pulled out of the Matrix. So this is someone whose entire life, for whatever age... Was it James Anderson? No, that's a cricketer.
John. It's always John.
John.
Any
Anderson.
role Keanu Reeves plays is always John.
Sorry, it's always John. You're absolutely right. I've just got Jimmy Anderson on the brain. No, John Anderson is like, what, early to mid-30s? It's literally like someone pulling you out of reality tomorrow. I mean, actually, everything you knew was a lie. You're being used as a battery.
Yeah, but I'm ready for it.
I'm ready for it. I'm like, screw it, mate. Put me back in. I'm fine. Don't want any part of your stupid, weird, grey war. Thank you very much. I like food and wine. Bye.
I mean, sadly, I think we'll get onto this, I'm sure, but sadly, that probably would be my decision.
Hashtag Team Cypher.
But I think your point is right. Like he's old. They make a point of the fact that they wouldn't ordinarily have done it.
Yeah,
and it's I think that's why he's acting it in such a way. But it's particularly because he's always next to Morpheus when he's doing that, right? Next to Lawrence Fishburne's Lawrence's
Fishburne sounds like a barbecue joint in South Carolina.
Lawrence's Fishburne with his pince nez, which is also excellent.
Those glasses are so stupid.
They're so great. They're so absolutely fantastic.
It's that and the way he folds his arms behind his back.
It's so good.
Have you noticed that?
It's so good.
It's so funny.
Because I remember this was around the time that Is it around the time? Maybe I started watching The Matrix around the time that Final Fantasy X came out. You know, Auron does very similar stuff. He walks around like so needlessly cool.
He is just Auron from Final Fantasy X. You're absolutely right.
It's a ridiculous, because Morpheus does everything so deliberately and slowly, and you know, and then you have Keanu Reeves's Neo next to it just being like, "What the fuck?" It's great.
Like a wet fish all over the cinema screen.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves' fish burns more than Lawrence's fish burn. That's for sure.
Yeah. Way.
Also, just briefly, to think that Lawrence Fishburne then went on to CSI for reasons.
That's baffling.
Yeah.
And then became the editor of the Daily Planet in Man of Steel.
I mean, I have seen that, but I do not recall.
To be honest, it actually works really quite well if you just imagine that it's just Morpheus.
But that, you know, Morpheus is such an iconic role that unfortunately for
you can't say, he's also I always forget that he's in John Wick as well.
He is, yeah.
Getting the dream team back together.
That is great. That's a great role, actually.
And that really is just Morpheus. He's got the same sort of almost biblical way of speaking that Morpheus has in John Wick.
God, he's had a great career. Contagion, what a great film. Mystic River, Color Purple. Ant-Man and the Wasp, of course, fantastic piece of cinema.
Yeah, he is Goliath in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I forget that every time I possibly can.
It's one of those things, isn't it? But let's talk a little bit about how 2 and 3 really let that a team. I shan't speak to 4 because 4 is quite a different beast in my opinion. Still don't know if I like 4 or not, but it is.
I think
quite different.
The fact that you've seen it, you spent some time thinking about it, and you're not sure if you like it or not. Like, you've not come out of that and gone, "That's a bad film. I don't like it." Like, it's still got you thinking about it. I think is.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's probably quite good.
You just really don't know what to think about it.
Well, in that same way that something like Inception, you leave the cinema, you went, "What?
Oh, Tippy, can we all stop blowing smoke up Inception's arse, please?
Yeah, but as if you left. Well, I don't know. As if in the first time you watched that film, you didn't go, "What?" for a little while afterwards.
But it was like a, huh, rather than a, whoa. I just get, it's not that clever, is my point.
It's pretty clever.
It's quite clever, and it
occupies some of the same mind space that The Matrix does, I think, in terms of us talking about Inception in that way.
Does Inception occupy?
Not quite to the same extent, I think, but
I don't think it's nearly as important a cultural touchstone as The Matrix is. But I see what you're saying. I do. I don't. There was a trend after Inception came out for a few years of people pretending that it was the deepest and most like thought-provoking and meaningful film ever made, with the whole, "Oh my god, did the thing start wobbling at the very end? Like, what if it's all a dream?" And I'm like, yeah, that's
the point.
The point. That's the point. Like, it's not a super deep question.
It's the point that Blade Runner made all those years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Or Total Recall, even. It's just the important point there is DiCaprio has got to a stage where he doesn't care if it's all a dream or not. He's happy. That's the takeaway. It just pissed me off. Sorry.
No, quite. But I'm also not really referring to that necessarily. It's just
no.
That it's
sorry.
It's,
I know.
It's that sort of like, you know. Yeah, you know what I mean. Because I'm not sure
I do. Sorry, I've just decided that I was angry about Inception again.
Yeah. The things like Total Recall and Blade Runner, I think, are examples of that. And people traditionally, I think those films do well because people love that kind of sense of the unknown, right? and the first Matrix film does stuff like that very well, and it's just a great film all around. And then the second and third, I think for me, the biggest issue there is it just becomes so unsubtle, right? I mean, at that point, they're just like, yeah, Neo is Jesus, and that's it.
Yeah.
In the first one, it's not that. At least I've never really got that from it. He's the one, and I can see there's some similarities, but the same way that, for example, Lord of the Rings has similarities to Christian literature and other types of religious literature that are probably more incidental. Whereas for 2 and 3, it's not that.
I think it's always implicit. I think, but like lots of stories like The Matrix have messianic characteristics. Like Neo literally dies and comes back to life and has more power when he comes back to life, such that he can do the things he's been sent back to do. Jesus allegory. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, by the end of the third film, he's like the scene where he's being held up in a crucifix pose while the sun rises as he's like turning off the machine or the source or whatever it is.
Having sacrificed himself.
Sacrificed himself again.
Well, no, this is the thing, right? Because in the first film, he doesn't really. I mean, I know the Oracle kind of says it's you or him, but he's running for his life. Like, he's not openly embracing the shadow of death, He's sort of...
No, he's trying to save himself and dies anyway.
Exactly.
But I guess the argument is that he chooses to sacrifice himself when he doesn't run from Smith in the subway station. That's the moment of sacrifice.
I've never necessarily understood that as a moment of sacrifice, and more just as a moment of, am I the one? Can I take this guy?
Shit kicked out of yourself.
So, this is just Hugo Weaving with some sunglasses. All right, I can take this guy.
But I can see that. I think if you wanted to really push the Jesus metaphor, that's the sacrifice moment.
Yes,
that's the point at which he should. But
except the Trinity, although her name doesn't really help my argument against this. But Trinity's sort of the moving force behind his reawakening, right?
Yes.
Not him.
No, but it's an
capital and lowercase.
He is brought back to life by the Trinity. I mean,
it's pretty on the nose, isn't it?
But no, like, it is. You are right. It is a lot subtler, if that word can really be applied, in The Matrix than it is in Reloaded and Revolutions. I don't think there's no rational argument to be made that that's not the case. It's absolutely subtle there. But I don't know what's wrong with 2 and 3. Not much, as we've said. But I think the lack of subtlety does them a lot of damage. And you've got characters like the Merovingian, who is excellent, to be fair.
I think 2 and 3 were slightly hampered by I think what they thought they needed to do to make the films successful.
Yeah, that's possibly true.
Because the end of 1, right? Neo's on the phone and he makes a threat to the machines, saying he's going to come after them. And ultimately,
yes,
that could have been a very different film, but then they really lent into the whole, Trinity Neo love story. They needed Hugo Weaving to play Agent Smith because he was just so good that they brought him back, and then they were like, "Fuck, how do we do that? We'll just make him some weird rogue AI type thing."
Yeah, I've never fully understood what Smith is meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah, me neither. I still don't. But then they also introduced this concept of the architect, where it really unravels for me. Like, genuinely, to this day, do not understand that.
The architect.
Like, at all.
No, not at all.
And I don't know if
Is
it was clearly not just me. It sounds like you're in the same boat.
No, I've never understood the architect. Is he God?
But no, I don't know.
But, no, he's not. But
to the Matrix, perhaps, because he made
is he
it.
Just
right? He's the ultimate.
But is
creator.
he just another program?
Yes.
But how can he be a program external to the mate? I really struggle to understand.
Well, no, because it's the same way that machines are external, right?
No, I know, but it's.
But no, I get what you're saying, because this inherently becomes a problem in those films. Like these boundaries are not well defined, and it gets really fucking strange.
And also, sometimes there's ghosts and werewolves.
Yeah, and robots with baby faces.
And robots with baby faces. I think, because if you go back
Smith
to the first film...
Smith the program being in the real world, also very odd.
Smith the program riding someone back into the real world is very problematic.
The same way that Neo can do EMPs in the real world, so it just gets very unhinged for reasons that are never quite explained.
No, I think that's exactly right. I hesitate to use this word, but the cosmology of the first film is actually very simple.
Yeah.
Neo is special because for weird computer science magic reasons, he can do things inside the program that no one else can do.
Yeah.
That's it. Fine, happy.
Which is also weird. It's also never really explained fully to me why he can do that. Is the one a program? Is the one a human?
Yes.
Thanks.
So he's like, in the first film, he's special because he is able to fully release his mind from everything that he's learned by the very end. So that's essentially why he can do things like stop bullets, because the Matrix is as he believes it to be.
Yeah, there is no spoon.
Essentially. Very much, actually, like the way the world of dreams works in the Wheel of Time. But that's just by the by.
Still only read the Hogfather, so...
Still haven't read Hogfather.
No, only have.
But no. Wrong series, Muppet.
I mean, how should I know?
World.
It's the same fucking thing.
Jesus Christ. See what I have to work with?
Well, no, because we're not on camera.
Oh, shut up.
Hey.
It's not my fault I can't be on camera because my bed would be in the picture if I am.
No, back to the point you were making, which was... He doesn't remember.
Yeah. It all vaguely makes sense when all of the quote-unquote magics exists only within the Matrix. He's a counterbalance, he's a necessary part of the Matrix programming, whatever that might be. But the moment you start to get above or beyond the Matrix, the whole thing just breaks down in a really confusing way. Yeah. And I think that's really where 2 and 3 start to suffer.
Yeah. It's just dawned on me you said Wheel of Time, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay. Well, it's late. 9 p.m, folks. I think it's
a whole 9 o'clock at night. That's why I was so grumpy with you.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. You are allowed to be. I don't know where my mind went. Anyway. Yeah, I think you're right. And what's so odd about it for me is that the first film in no way tries to hide anything from you. It's like, here's what the Matrix is. It's a simulation. This is a fact. It's bad. We don't like the simulation. We want to be in the real world. There's no blurred lines there, right? We are human. We're supposed to be on the side of the humans. We love the real world. We want to shut down the Matrix. That's it. And in the second and third films, it's like, actually, Neo's powers are sort of in both, and he's very special. And then Agent Smith a program can go into the real world and hijack humans, and it's all a bit blurred. It's like
Neo might
why?
actually be Jesus, and Agent Smith might actually be Satan.
Well, that's interesting now.
Well, probably not actually, but
it's not too far away because Agent Smith he's
a corruptor.
He's an angel who decides he wants to actually make a choice.
Yes,
if you think about
it's very true. It's very true. He's a being who should not be capable of choice who makes a choice.
It's unclear what his end game is, though.
Because his whole thing in the first one is he wants to go whatever passes for home, doesn't he? He wants out.
Yeah.
Morpheus is his ticket out by getting the codes to Zion or something. Give me the Zion access codes, whatever that means. Yeah,
so they can stop the war and they can just live their happy machine lives, I guess, outside the Matrix.
But surely if he's a program to police the Matrix and protect it from rogue humans, when there's no longer the capability of rogue humans, isn't he just going to get switched off?
Yeah, but that's the folly of AI, I suppose, isn't it?
They'll just put him in the recycle bin. Then he'll sit there for 2 years because no one ever empties the recycling bin.
But that's sort of the point that people programs like the Merovingian are trying to make, right? And the Oracles, that is what happens, and Smith is somehow trying to rebel against that.
Maybe. The Merovingian is weird.
The Merovingian
Can we all agree that the Merovingian is super weird?
Super weird. That whole scene where he somehow sends an orgasm cake over to that. It's just like, what?
The orgasm cake is so funny. It's so unnecessary.
So completely unnecessary. But it gave us angry Monica Bellucci, which we can't.
Gave us angry Monica Bellucci. It gave us the fantastic "She wasn't kissing your face," which might be one of the greatest lines ever uttered in
fantastic,
cinema.
And then just said so perfectly as well.
It was excellent. It was excellent.
But this is all the second film is to me. It's like the Merovingian, which is great. Monica Bellucci, great. Neo having that enormous fight in the mansion.
The mansion fight's really good.
And flying.
The Morpheus fight on top of the truck, excellent. And
the rest, I don't even know what happens.
Morpheus' speech.
Morpheus'
Wait, is that 2 or 3?
Is that? Is
that 3?
That's 3, I think, right? Yeah, that's 3.
That might be the only good bit of 3.
Well, and the mech fight.
The mech fight. No, sorry, that's entirely fair. The mech fight.
Yeah, 2 at least also has the Smith fight, the good Smith fight, yeah, with the metal pole.
I love that I say that. I love that I say that and you know exactly which scene I mean.
Yeah, it's just perfect. It's a great scene.
Did you ever play? I mean, we're coming to the end of our... I think we're not really saying very much about The Matrix other than it's really good and we liked it and people should make more...
Go watch it.
People should make more ambitious films like The Matrix. Make films that are good and also try and do something. Also try and say something.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Like, it has an interesting message. It makes people think, but fundamentally, as you said earlier, like it's just an action sci-fi film at the end of the day. But a damn good one, because even there, they're like, let's do something new and have bullet time. You know,
it was one of the first uses of bullet time. It was very good for that.
But what video game have I not played?
Well, I was going to say, did you ever play either of the 2 Matrix bullet games, video games?
I think I played a demo.
Played a demo.
This would have been what, PS2 era, right? Yeah.
So there was a PS2 game called Enter the Matrix, where you could play as Captain Niobe, I think.
Yes. Which is a sad part of the second film. That whole nuclear reactor thing, whatever it is that they're doing. It's not a nuclear reactor, power station thing.
So you play through that from you play through that level from her perspective and stuff like that, which is quite good fun.
Yeah, but well, I was going to say, but surely you want to be the Neo in any Matrix game, but actually you probably wouldn't want to be because it's too easy.
There was also a Neo game called, I think, Path of Neo. I want to say
it's quite recent, isn't it?
I think it might have been 360 era, so PS3. I think I had it on Xbox 360. Let me just. But the problem was it struggled. It was really good when you were like early Neo, 2005.
Yeah, Matrix Path of Neo 2005.
PlayStation 2.
The Matrix
IGN.
Awakens and Unreal Engine 5 experience. That was actually quite good.
Oh, I haven't played that.
I mean, it's just a demo for Unreal Engine 5, but it's really quite good.
Amazing. IGN gave Path of Neo 6.5, which I think means it actually came into IGN's house and shat on the bed. I love the contrast. So IGN gave it 6.5, and then if you go down to the Google stuff, 95% of people liked this video game.
Nice. Matrix Online.
The Matrix. I remember that was talked about a lot, but I don't think it ever came to anything. The point of Path of Neo was it didn't really work. Like, it was really good fun, but it didn't work because it didn't capture it really struggled to capture the feeling of being Neo, and this yeah, you can sort of go through absolutely anything in a way that Enter the Matrix was really good at. Because you weren't Neo, so you had to work at things harder. But yeah, it spawned a couple of video games that were quite good.
Yeah, and people still wanted to watch the fourth film.
Yeah, I think it's done relatively well.
And I feel like they're talking about a fifth one.
Maybe we need to let things go, though, guys. I'm just going to suggest that.
Well, watch the fourth one and we'll have that conversation again, shall we?
I will watch the fourth one. I will watch the fourth one. I will watch it relatively soon.
It's quite a different vibe, I'll say that much.
I think I noticed that from I really struggled when I saw all of the promo material for it. I really struggled to understand if it was a remake of The Matrix.
Yeah.
But with Neo and Trinity, or if it's a completely new film, or if it's a sequel, or
yeah, hold all those thoughts as you watch it. I just remember thinking, fucking hell, Carrie Ann
Fisher. Fisher?
No, that Carrie Fisher and Carrie Ann Moss. Is that right?
Carrie Ann Moss.
Carrie Ann Moss, right? Yeah, I was going to say.
You are absolutely
I was
right,
also about to say Fisher.
Fisher and Carrie Ann Moss are not the same person. You're absolutely right.
Carrie Fisher seems like somebody else. But I remember thinking that she and Keanu Reeves, they just look too good to be their age.
Keanu Reeves has not aged.
But actually, I think that was partly the point.
Have they made a film whose plot absolutely relies on the fact that Keanu Reeves doesn't age?
I think the Wachowski sisters, or actually it was only one of them, I think who made the fourth one, looked at Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss and were like, hang on. I can use
absolutely. There's a film to be made here, people. That's really funny.
So think of that while you watch it and maybe we can discuss.
It was only one of the Wachowski sisters made Matrix Resurrections. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, The Matrix. I feel this has been a bit rambly. I think this is just us nerding out about The Matrix and how good it is. The first one especially so. The second and third, take them or leave them. The orgasm cake. I think who doesn't like an orgasm cake?
Who doesn't like an orgasm? I think the world of cinema is richer for all three of the films having been made. I think it 2 and 3 gave us enough individually good scenes that we can be okay with them.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
They're not on the same level as the first one, and we need to make that very clear.
Yes, we do. Yeah. little bit, the cynic in me would say, this was just a quick, very big paycheck.
But I sort of don't mind. I mean, people are very down on, this was just a quick paycheck. Yeah, but Keanu Reeves has to eat.
Yeah, no, I'm not, it's not
I don't
necessarily
mind
criticism.
people making
It's just,
money from making films.
yeah. I think they sort of said, well, how can we continue this message, and quickly arrived at just, let's retell the Bible from a different point of view.
Hey, it's an enduring story for a reason.
Well, quite. I mean, there's only so many stories you can tell, right? So it is that.
Oh, you've just broken my brain. We need to move on before I start talking about how there's only 3 stories again.
Well, that we can keep for another day. Good bit of sizzle. Same as... I need to go and watch House of the Dragon at some point, don't I?
You do need to go and watch House of the Dragon, because House of the Dragon Season 2 is coming very, very soon, and I've watched the trailers for it, and they look good. And House of the Dragon Season 1 is excellent. Yeah. We should talk about it.
Well, now TV can be a business write-off then.
Yeah, we can put that on the expenses.
Wait, hang on. Isn't my card associated with that? Damn you.
Well, you just need to give me your password. It'll be fine.
Yeah, sure. That's what they all say.
Take the money out of Patreon and get Now TV with that for a week.
I mean, we no, fine.
I know we don't have enough money in Patreon at the moment to do that.
I was going to say, if there were any money in there to take, I'd take it.
We've just paid for Podbean, so we can't do that. But anyway, unless you've got anything else, I think
go watch The Matrix. It's great.
Yeah, go watch The Matrix. It's great.
Holds up.
Yeah, does hold up. Guns, lots of guns.
That's what you're ending on. Guns.
It's either that or holy shit. Thanks for listening to this episode of Expertise is Overrated.
Fucking
no doubt we said some things were either objectively wrong or downright offensive. As ever, feel free to let us know. Rate the podcast wherever you can. Check out our Patreon for bonus content and come chat to us on our Discord.
If you're lucky, we might just argue with you with oh my fucking god. Let me try that again, shall we? If you're lucky, we might just argue with you in one of our upcoming episodes. If you're really lucky, we might call you an idiot. Come back next time for some more absolute nonsense.